On this week's episode, what's coming up for horror fans in the first half of 2019? Is the return of Titanfall a good thing? And the good and bad, and the good and bad from the advertisements at the big game. All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows as we cover the world of pop culture with the latest news and trends each and every week. But it wouldn't be a pop culture cosmos without my good friend. He is the commercial reviewer of Humanica Media. You got to check out everything going on today with humanicamedia.com, Humanica Media on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and so much more. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. Hey man, can you believe it? We're at 1,000 subscribers on Podbean, and we cannot thank enough for everybody going ahead and taking the time to listen to all of our programs.
Let me just point out the fact that I think it's hilarious that you're about to call this show the Pop Culture Costco.
Yeah, I know. Well, I am an executive member. I'm thinking about putting that on my gravestone. Putting that on my gravestone right there. Loving father, decent person, tried to be a good man to all of, tried to be a good human to all of mankind. Executive customer at executive card holder at Costco. Yes, there you go. There you go. But it is going to be a great episode we have for you. And again, thank you for everyone. Thank you to a big thank you to everyone out there for subscribing to us. We're at 1,000 subscribers on Podbean. Just cannot thank everyone enough for doing so. Just tremendously, just overwhelmed with the amount of support we're getting on our Podbean and all of our other channels as well. But it is going to be a great episode. We're going to be talking about the best and the worst that went on during the big game with all the advertisements and trailers. We're going to be talking about as much as we can when it comes to that. Plus, the folks at Phone Soap. I had a chance to interview them at CES this year, and I just want to go ahead and run that interview that I got a chance to talk to the great people there at Phone Soap. So you'll be hearing that later in the show. Plus, also as well, we're going to be talking to my good friend Jason Todd Feinberg from the show Hunting Queen. You got to check out his great podcast as it hits on a lot of topics within the pop culture realm. He is our horror movie expert, and he's going to break down some of the films that are coming out in the first half of 2019 when it comes to the horror movie genre. And we're also going to be talking about Titanfall going free to play, which could already be happening by the time you hear this show. The rumors are abound that EA is going to greenlight a free to play Titanfall based game coming up here this week. But first, my friend, it was a big game and it was a big dud of a football game, but there was still a lot of things to talk about when it comes to the ads and the trailers that are out there. Obviously, the one that was just the biggest thing that everybody was talking about is the Avengers Endgame trailer. So I want to hear your thoughts on the Avengers Endgame trailer that came out. Not really much into depth, other than you see some of the after effects of what happened with Thanos' snap.
Well, that alone was interesting because that's what they didn't show us in the original trailer was what happened to the world in the aftermath of the Thanos snap. That's
Pretty dark, wasn't it?
it was pretty dark, and it's because I was wondering, like, were people going to, I don't know,
Did somebody slip a DC movie in there or something?
oh, I see what you did there. Is this a Zack Snyder film? Uh, No, but like because I was curious about whether or not when these people disappeared, were the people's memories of them going to disappear too. But now I see that that's not a thing. Obviously, the Avengers are super powered people, so maybe it wouldn't their memories won't be affected. But it was interesting because I really that's the question that's been on my mind since I saw the end of Avengers Infinity War was how is the world reacting to this? So it looks like it, and life didn't go on. You see in the trailer, life didn't move on. Everything's a ghost town. Everything's dark and it dreary. So that was cool. Even though it was 30 seconds, I really enjoyed seeing that, and now I am that much more hyped about the movie. But what did you think?
Well, when it comes to what you were talking about as far as how people reacted, that's interesting that you were thinking that it is, are people going to be forgetting about it? Will there be a mind swipe with everybody else that did exist outside of that? But you couldn't really have that if the Avengers know what's going on. And obviously they were sad about what's going on. So you really couldn't have where just the Avengers were knowledgeable about it. Now, my I from what I'm able to ascertain from what rumors or what leaks have been about, I think the world is not aware of Thanos or the snap part of it. They just don't understand what happened at all. I think that's what I'm gathering. Is that what you've been hearing as well?
That makes more sense because look at it like, what about? I mean, they had the giant circle thing on Earth, but not there weren't really any fights with Thanos that took place on Earth, so there wouldn't have been news coverage. So it would be kind of an unknown event to everybody.
Except for the battle at New York
But that was
in the beginning of Avengers Infinity War.
right.
So
That was the circle thing. But then it went away, and like you didn't actually see Thanos though. Like after that was gone, nothing took place on Earth again after that, and until the Wakanda thing. So maybe that's when it happened. I don't know. Like because again, there was the trailer didn't show any like news coverage of anything. So maybe people don't even know what happened in Wakanda.
that's true because Wakanda remains somewhat hidden, even though it exposed themselves to the world as far as wanting to help or whatnot. But it's still it was still treated like what a somewhat of a secretive society, a secretive country, and whatnot. But a secretive country to their own people, obviously for privacy reasons and security reasons as well. But it did not, unfortunately, come out well for Wakanda and the rest of the planet Earth, and in fact, the galaxy as a whole, as everyone knows out there from what happened with Infinity War and Thanos' snap, and half the population of everything was already was wiped out. It just is kind of dark. Obviously, the commercial it leads you to believe that, but it's still very interesting. I agree with you. We've always criticized DC as being too dark all of the time, but in this case, it was something that I think needed to be done because when you obliterate half the universe, there's going to be no better roses. You can't portray it in a better light. You cannot get that type of humor and enthusiasm and excitement for it, and bright colors and everything like that. You have to make it dark. You have to make it despondent. You have to make it something that's really just almost desperate and almost hopeless as far as the theme that you're trying to get across. And I think the Russos, in doing so, really portrayed that, showing the football stadium, showing the MetLife Stadium empty, showing that, especially that shipyard full of ships that were just crowded all over the place. Were they just abandoned? Were they moved there as far as ships that people found and just towed to shore and whatnot? How was that done? And obviously, getting the grief counseling that Captain America was seemed to be doing in the actual trailer itself. It seems like a lot of people are still trying to cope with that issue, including Captain America himself. But getting into the getting into the more in the trailer, getting into more of the trailer, we also see a clip of Nebula and Iron Man. They're working on something, maybe a way to get home, get off the planet, and into the position where Tony Stark was in the original Endgame trailer, where he was, stuck in space? Or do you think this is something that's a little bit beyond that? Your thoughts on what's going on with Tony Stark and Nebula in the Super Bowl trailer?
I don't know. To me, that looked like that was not on
Do
that.
you think it takes place after or before that desperate the message
I think
that Tony leaves Pepper Potts in the original Endgame trailer?
I think it's after. Like that looked like it took place somewhere on Earth because the planet, like if you look at the landscape in the trailer and the landscape on the planet, they look like two completely different things. So I'm going to say that it takes place afterwards, but that's hard for me to say because I've heard a lot of rumors saying that Nebula is going to be kind of a rogue force in this next movie. So I don't maybe she wouldn't be teaming up with Iron Man. I don't know.
Well, it's difficult to say because in the comic book, she definitely is a rogue figure there for all intents and purposes. She actually takes possession of the glove, and with all the Infinity Stones on it, she gets the power. Could we see something materialize of that? I'm not so sure, but we'll have to wait and see. I think you're right. Nebula probably will play some sort of key role in the film. Will it be to the extent of what the comic book dictated? We'll have to wait and see. What did you think was going on with Rocket Raccoon? Because he seemed to be entering a different place with a mountainous area behind him. Do you think a lot of people are already saying that could be various places on Earth, such as Wakanda or somewhere else? Your thoughts on what went on with what's going on with Rocket Raccoon? Because the fact that his whole entire crew with the Guardians of the Galaxy is at the moment not around. Obviously they're like the Kansas song "Dust in the Wind."
I didn't really look that far into it. If I were to make a guess, though, I would say it's some kind of place where there is technology. So maybe it's Wakanda, but it also looked like didn't it look like there was snow behind him a little bit? So my first thought when I saw that, it reminded me of the place in The Winter Soldier where Zemo was went to kill everybody. So I don't know, man. Like that it's obviously somewhere where there's tech where he can build something because that's what he does. So he needs something like that to I don't know, fulfill whatever it is or make himself feel like he's a part of the team because obviously they spared him. He's still alive for some reason. The writers left him alive for some specific reason. So I'm curious what it is. Are they going to build a machine that will let Ant-Man go into the quantum realm? Is it a weapon? What is it? What are we dealing with? Unfortunately, we only got that 3-second glimpse of him, so we can't really dig too far into it at the moment.
And you also see him along with the other alive Avengers. They're leaving the Avengers facility. Look, I don't know if it was like a late afternoon or very shadowy shot, or maybe early morning. That I'm not sure of. Your thoughts on what was going on there? Were they heading out to battle, or were they just planning something? And there was a gap there. If you notice the way they were lined up, there was a distinct gap. I don't know if it's something that is planned, is something there, but we've seen that type of thing before when it comes to the trailers for Infinity War with alterations being done from the Wakandan scenes that were put into the Infinity War trailer. So do you think something could have been there that's not there now, but will be there at some point in time in Avengers Endgame?
Oh, of course, they always do that. They always show you stuff that's not in the film or vice versa.
Like for instance, Thor's eyes and whatnot.
Or that, yeah, I think there was an inconsistency there that the fans actually picked out, and that's probably what made them want to go through and change that. Or maybe it was it Lego that showed Thor with an eye? He still had his eye, or is it toy or something? But no, that scene that you saw in the end where everyone's standing next to each other, I honestly think that is just them doing their thing because I'm predicting that in the beginning of the movie they're not going to know what to do. That's why we see Steve Rogers mourning and we see all the all the other characters kind of doing their thing. I don't think they're going to know what to do until Ant-Man shows up, and I think he's going to maybe have the answer they're looking for. And that scene is just them going, "Oh yes, it's time to go to war." Like they have those classic montage scenes where it shows everyone like putting their gloves on, putting the mask on. Captain America's hitting his shield onto his arm. I think that's what that moment is.
Wouldn't it be cool if the reason that everything goes back to normal and Thanos is defeated is because of that awesome band from Ant-Man?
Are we talking about the ant on the drum set?
No, I'm talking about the van.
Oh, the van. I thought you said the band. Yes. Yes, I saw this thing pop up on Facebook yesterday that said before Endgame starts, they need to have a complete recap uh, narrated by Michael Pena.
Oh, that would
The
be
whole
awesome.
like Marvel series.
That would be really cool. I would pay to see that. But anyways, it is just a lot we've tried to break down in a 30-second spot. If you have not seen it yet, and my goodness, if you weren't watching the game real carefully at the beginning, you might have missed it. It is available on our popculturecosmos.com website. It's right there for you. You can go ahead and click right on it, and it's right there. Check it out today, popculturecosmos.com. Another trailer that we also added to our popculturecosmos.com site is the latest trailer for Captain Marvel. And I really think they did a nice job in trying to compact all the excitement that they could in within the movie into that 30-second spot. I'm actually more excited than ever to go see the film. Your thoughts on the very quick, very brief, but very interesting trailer? And yes, it didn't really show us that much different from what we've seen already, but it packed up everything in a nice, neat little package for 30 seconds. And I really think it gets people excited for Captain Marvel.
Yeah, this was the best trailer, and this was the shortest trailer, but is the best because they show you who is Captain Marvel and what can she do. They showed her origins in the jet scene, they showed her training, and then they showed her with these powers. You know, she made the suit like materialize on her face. That's what people wanted to know. That's what people wanted to see originally. So I don't know why they haven't been doing that all along, but they finally showed us enough about the character to get people intrigued. And I'm looking at articles all over the internet and I'm seeing the same thing. People are like, we are now stoked for Captain Marvel. And good, because it comes out in what, a month?
That's correct. March 8th, it's going to hit. I'm excited for it. I think it will really be something that I think people need to see. I'm just cannot wait enough for it. But I tell you what, it was really quick, but it showed and compacted a whole bunch of action into it and really exemplifies her power and what she can do as far as the type of things that she can control and the type of things that she can do and the damage she can inflict. She is really as powerful, I think, as what Kevin Feige has said she is going to be within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I look forward to seeing her character origin and the way it develops. Plus, also having another chance to sit down with to watch Nick Fury and Agent Coulson, especially in the early years, as how they perceived it. Watching that coming up in Captain Marvel, and we'll obviously, as it gets closer to the release date, we'll talk about it, and we'll also have a review for the movie as well, right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos, and also our Friday show, the PCC Multiverse. We also had other great stuff that was actually debuted as far, well, I don't want to say debuted, but actually other great trailers that were shown. And tell you what, Hobbs and Shaw, I've seen it twice now, a longer version of the trailer, and I believe it's a 1 minute trailer. I don't think it was a 30 seconds. I think it was a 1 minute trailer that was shown at the Super Bowl. This looks like a lot of fun and more interesting to me than any of the Fast and Furious movies I've seen, and I've seen all of them. Your thoughts on the Hobbs and Shaw trailer? Yes, Idris Elba is the villain in the film. I really think he should be starring in his own blockbusters. I think he's right there on the cusp of being his own superstar in his own right, but still he's not quite there yet, but still playing another villainous role. I think I think the movie itself just really has a lot of fun doing that dichotomy between Hobbs and Shaw, aka Jason Statham, and The Rock. Just that love-hate relationship right there for you. Your thoughts on the Hobbs and Shaw trailer? I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm telling you right now, I have much more interest in it than any of the Fast and Furious movies.
Okay, so I just watched the actual trailer for this yesterday, and I have to say, it
That's the extended trailer, correct?
right, and I have to say it does look like a lot of fun. It looks like a great popcorn flick, and I love the fact that what makes this movie so appealing to me is that it is completely aware of itself. It knows that it's not a serious movie. It knows that it's an offshoot of a franchise. It knows all of these things, and that is something that Fast and the Furious has never been able to do well. They tried with their last couple of entries to go like, "Oh, hey, we're a big action movie and we know that it's over the top and that's why you guys still watch it." But there's been so much history in the Fast and the Furious franchise that makes it dramatic and kind of dark and sad, especially with the death of Paul Walker. And this is the first time there's a fresh slate, uh characters we know, and they have this on-screen chemistry, and they're funny, they're brutal, and it looks like a fun, really fun movie.
One quick question I want to add, and I hope these rumors aren't true, but you and I have been hearing a long time, as a lot of, as well as a lot of other people out there have heard about the friction between Vin Diesel and The Rock, and Vin Diesel maybe trying to block or prevent this movie from ever taking place. At one point in time, maybe it was just he didn't get his blessing because he obviously is the person that is probably the most responsible for getting the Fast and Furious franchise to where it is today. Your thoughts on, from to me, I'll just say this: it's just a shame that that's the case. But now I can see why, because very well, Hobbs and Shaw, when it comes out, it could actually upstage anything that's ever been done in the Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I had heard about that, and here's my take on Vin Diesel. He is only good at playing Vin Diesel. You know, the Triple X, Riddick. I mean, the most depth I've seen him have is in, well, there's two movies. One is Knockaround Guys, and then the other was Iron Giant. And in Iron Giant, he doesn't even talk really. He just kind of makes noises. So it's yeah, I don't know. He's not a team. He's kind of full of himself. That's what I want to say. Like he's kind of full of himself. And from if you watch the special features on any of the Fast and the Furious movies, you see that he's always like he's the member of the cast that the rest of the cast was always afraid of making angry.
You're not digging Groot?
Well, Groot, yeah, he is Groot, but I just think that he doesn't have enough talent to really say you can't make a spin-off of this movie. If I really really like the Riddick movies, but it's just he plays Vin Diesel. That's it. Like he's only good at playing himself, so he can't necessarily say threaten to quit because what else is he going to do? I don't see him being cast in any other roles anytime soon.
Well, it just comes to the point where there's actors that really, the method actors that really get into the role that are playing, and they really dig into it and they become a different person or different entity altogether. And then there's the roles are catered to them. I think another example would be Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson plays Jack Nicholson virtually in every movie in the past, what, 20, 30 years. It's been Jack Nicholson plays a good version of Jack Nicholson. So it's along those same lines. But then you have other actors that can really dive into a role and be someone else. And Christian Bale in Vice, for instance. Let's go that route. Or other actors that can, or other actors and actresses that can really just dig into a role and be someone else. So you do have those different type of roles. And you're right, Vin Diesel, he plays Vin Diesel, and now in pretty much every single role that he's in. And it's just whether it's because he's reached to that stature, but it, I digress. Still, the friction that might have been caused for Hobbs and Shaw, we may see. I mean, it's beginning to see. It's becoming clear why that was the case, because Hobbs and Shaw may have been a movie he didn't want to put on that same level as the Fast and Furious, but it might just end up being something like that, because it is right now a really, really good trailer. Hobbs and Shaw is really interesting, and I know you and I have really got a lot of good things to say about it, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of Hobbs and Shaw in the future. What's going on with some other stuff that was going on as well was Hannah. Your thoughts on the series premiere little trailer that came out? I think it was their version of what they wanted to do, what they did last year with Netflix and the Cloverfield project, the Cloverfield paradox, where that was dropped onto us literally just right there, saying it's ready to go, and millions of viewers actually turned in right after the Super Bowl on that. This is kind of different because it is the first episode of a series, but it's only available for 24 hours. So by the time most of you hear this, it's already gone and not available for free viewing. So your thoughts on Amazon Prime's Hannah? It's based off the 2011 film. I was thinking it looks okay, but I'm just kind of disappointed that Amazon won't keep it available free for people that much longer.
Wait, explain this to me. I didn't hear anything about this.
They dropped a trailer for it. It's Hannah. It's based off the 2011 film. Young girl that's really super powerful. The government's after her, that type of deal. Similar to, if you've seen the movie Hannah from 2011, this is an offshoot of that. It's a series based on that, based on that movie. It is a movie that it dropped during the Super Bowl, and it said as of for 24 hours, it will be available on Amazon Prime for free. You can just go ahead and watch it, even if you don't have Amazon Prime. But after that, you got to have Amazon Prime. So I'm kind of disappointed that that's the case. I think they needed a little bit longer gestation time so people could actually, word of mouth and all that to be able to watch it. Maybe a little bit better, a little bit more advertising and whatnot. But you know what? This is their version of the Cloverfield paradox, but I don't think it's going to get quite over as what that did when it was shown last year at the Super Bowl.
Well, Amazon's actually in a very unique position right now because they're not Netflix, but they don't have enough original content to for you to not be able to browse their menu and not see everything they have to offer. Like if they were to take Hannah and put it in the new release section or in like their whatever their version of now trending is, you could scroll through everything and you would not be able to see that show on there. So that's the one thing I do like about Prime right now is like all of their original shows are can be on their featured wall at once. So yeah, it sucks for people who like you don't get to see. Sorry, dogs are drinking water here. Hold on one second. Yeah, so it sucks that they're removing the trailer so quickly, but at the same time, if you have Amazon Prime, and I guarantee you, a lot of the people who don't have Prime Video are still going to be going on Amazon.com, in which case they will probably have some kind of poster up there for a long time.
Other movies that were shown at the Super Bowl in some brief form or right around that time frame. Wonder Park, a new animated movie coming out in March. That one does not look good to me. I just was kind of disappointed by it. Us, the Us, the next movie in the line of movies from director Jordan Peele, that still looks very creepy, very interesting, and I want to see more of that film. It comes out March 22nd, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more with my good friend Jason Todd Feinberg later in this episode. Scary stories to tell in the dark. There was little spots here and there that were mixed in. Your thoughts on Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, Us, Wonder Park. There was also Toy Story 4, but we're going to talk about that after your thoughts on Us, Wonder Park, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Okay, see, I didn't see those ones. I saw the Scary Stories one, but I didn't see any of the others. But Scary Stories looks good. I like Guillermo del Toro. I think he's the right man to helm that. And like you said, there wasn't a lot, but I'm sure we'll be seeing more as it gets close to its release because what has Guillermo been up to, since he's not part of the new Hellboy film. We don't really know anything about what projects he's currently working on. So who knows, man? It looks like it could be good. What are your thoughts on it though?
I don't think they needed to spend the money because 30-second spots are $5 million on that were being bought for during the Super Bowl. Yeah, it was 15 seconds spots were cut up, but still, they're spending a lot of money on advertising for it. I think a lot more buzz would have been created for these spots in the case in the case of Wonder Park and also Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I think it would have been better if they would just go ahead and maybe type of create a little bit more internet environment or maybe on some other platform or other television programs that yes does not have the huge audience that the Super Bowl has, but it just happens those type of ads seem to get overlooked real quickly, compared to all the other big game ads that are out there. I think Us is the movie that a lot of people are looking forward to just because of the fact that not only does it look good, but also his Jordan Peele's last movie was just really good. Obviously, one of the best movies of 2017, and Us could follow. And there's a lot of hype and expectation when it comes to Us when that comes out on March 26th, March 22nd. And I'm going to talk more about that movie a little later on, again with Jason Todd Feinberg. Last but not least, Toy Story 4, because Alita Battle Angel also had a Super Bowl trailer, but we're going to talk more about that movie as it nears its February 14th release date. So we'll save our conversation from that for that one. Your thoughts on the very quick at the end of the game ad for Toy Story 4?
I mean, I don't know what can I say about it. Like it looks good, and I think there is some hype out there for Toy Story right now, especially since they've been putting out all that stuff that shows Tim Allen and Tom Hanks wrapping up the movie, and then you with the release of Kingdom Hearts 3, like it's all kind of good marketing time right now for Toy Story. So I Toy Story, oh shoot, 3, right? That was the last one to come out.
Yeah,
Yeah, Toy Story 3 was pretty sad. But yeah, it's I don't know, it'll be sad to see like the end of that because I don't think they're gonna make any more after that. And it's just sad to see all that come to an end. But like we always discuss, will it reach future generations of people? Because it's been, that was a franchise that started back when I was a kid. So that's always the question there. But you probably have some thoughts, I'm sure, as someone who has two daughters, and I'm sure you've shown them Toy Story at some point. So what are your thoughts? What are their thoughts?
they've enjoyed the Toy Story series, but I thought it ended just fine with Toy Story 3. I thought it was a tearjerker to me. I didn't really need a Toy Story 4 to come out, but that's going to make a ton of money for Pixar and Disney and all that. I wasn't too impressed with the actual spot itself, which showed them at a carnival, all the toys that were there, and um, Tim Allen's character. Oh my gosh, fading on.
Woody.
No, not Woody. That's Tom
That
Hanks.
one? Oh, Buzz Lightyear.
But yeah, Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear actually getting caught in a game, a carnival game, being one of the prizes, and having a discussion or heated argument with a couple of the other toys that are there, the other top prizes. I wasn't really impressed by it, but then again, it's just more Toy Story, and like I said, I had already come to grips with the series finito that I thought was Toy Story 3, and I think that was for a lot of people. I think that was the case as well. We'll see how well Toy Story 4 does when it comes out. I think there's more room I think there's more room in the world of Toy Story, but it also ended quite well on Toy Story 3. So even though they didn't need another, it's more Toy Story, and that can't be such a bad thing after all. What are your thoughts out there on the trailers that were available for the Super Bowl during that time frame this past weekend? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanic Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, before we head to the break and our CES interview with the folks at Phone Soap, one last thing I want to ask you, Josh, real quick. EA, the rumors that are out there is that they're going to drop a Titanfall free to play game starting on Monday, starting as early as Monday, and available this week to players out there. It's not going to feature the Titans per se, but it's going to be in that Titanfall universe. Your thoughts on a free to play game on Titanfall, a game that's been very critically lauded, but not exactly the greatest seller. And unfortunately, it's not been the type of big win that I think EA has always thought it could be.
I'll tell you what it is. It's a good experiment because if you like Titanfall, if that goes free to play and it has a battle royale mode attached to it, like the rumors are suggesting, that could be an interesting experiment because if that does well, who's to say that Call of Duty and Battlefield won't try a similar formula? You see what I'm saying? Like it's a chance for these big titles, these big publishers to get in on the ground floor of what Fortnite is doing without people having to buy a $60 game. What do you think though?
I think it's something you need. I think it's something okay to try. I don't see the harm in it. Obviously, it's free to play, so I know you and I will probably give it at least a dabble and see if it's something we might be interested in. Is it something that's going to go ahead and knock off Fortnite? I don't think it will, but you know what? As long as it makes a lot of money as far as the upgrades, the cosmetic changes, et cetera, and the microtransactions, it may provide a new life for Titanfall, a series which we were not sure was going to continue because, like I said, even though it has garnered even though both games have garnered critical acclaim, they've not performed as well as I know EA and the folks at that made Titanfall thought it would, and they thought the pedigree of the developers, a lot of them coming from the Call of Duty camp, and thought that would be actually something that a lot of people would be interested in. The stories have been good. The online experiences has been good. I played them both. I thought they were pretty good experiences, but obviously has not met the level of expectations I think EA was looking forward to. And if that's the case, tell you what, it's a matter of time though. If it's going to be a free to play game where we're a pretty good hit, it just needs more time to gestate. I think for people out there to really get into it and see if it's something that's going to be on something that's going to be in their diet ahead of games like Fortnite and PUBG.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean, look at Fortnite and PUBG. Unless they have really significant changes to gameplay, I think that it's only a matter of time before people start looking for something else. And if there's something else like Titanfall, because that's a whole different style of gameplay, and they're offering it for free, then that could potentially build up a lot of followers.
This is true. So I'm looking forward to some good things from whatever version of this Titanfall free to play game is. Although I'm not expecting it to be anywhere near the level of success that Fortnite is, it should still be something that entertains a lot of people. And I think I think if it does materialize here this week, I think Josh and I will give it a try, see if we like it, and share our thoughts on the air if a Titanfall free to play game is something worth investing your time into. Coming up next, we've got our friends from Phone Soap from CES 2019. And then right after that, my good friend Jason Todd Feinberg from Hunnikween. He's going to go ahead and break down the horror movies coming in the first half of 2019. And then after that, we've got to get to the commercials, our picks for the best and worst big game commercials this past weekend. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back to close out the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Gerald coming right back at you here. If you need a listing of where we're being played on radio 7 days a week all around the world. We've got our listings right on our Facebook page, Pop Culture Cosmos. It also has a listing of several of our many, many, many different podcast options as well. And thank you once again to everyone who has subscribed to our Podbean channel as we hit 1,000 subscribers. We cannot thank you enough for doing so. Also want to give a big thank you to the folks at Phone Soap and hope you give their product a try, especially if you've got a dirty, dirty, dirty cell phone like a lot of people out there. Probably mine is dirty too. And then also Jason Todd Feinberg from Hunnikween, you got to check out his show as well. Josh, you got a great thing going on with Josh, you got a great thing going on with Humanica Media. So share the goods, my friend. What's going on with Humanica Media?
Just updating the website, man. So it's all the stuff that I have made. You'll be able to find it in one place. I haven't updated that in a long time, so that's really all we have going on. Haven't had time to edit any podcast episodes. There are some things coming out soon, but I just have. I'm trying to get my time organized here, and you will see them soon. Topicocalypse Award Show coming soon.
All right, that's the Topicocalypse Award Show, plus each and every week, Tuesday nights on the Podcast Radio Network. Give me one moment. All right. And before we close the show, we've got to talk about the commercials that we liked and we didn't like at the big game, because there were a couple that kind of hit us on a good note and a not so good note. So, my friend, I'm going to leave it up to you first off. Let us know some of the commercials that you really liked. I'll tell you what, do three commercials that you liked from the big game this past weekend.
Okay, my first one here, I got the Bud Light commercials. I like the first one the best just because it was the longest and it was funny. But honestly, I think all three of them were really good. My question now is the Bud Knight permanently dead after getting crushed by the mountain in that Game of Thrones crossover? My
I did like that Game of Thrones crossover. It was one of my top 3 picks as well. I just thought that was entertaining, and for me, it came out of nowhere,
Oh
so,
no, it really did. But the best thing about that was the can smashing sound effect when the mountain was crushing the Bud Knight's head. Like you're crushing a beer can. They put
yes, yeah, I saw that. That
a
was
lot of
cool.
thought into that one. My second favorite commercial was the Alexa commercial. Do you notice that there's a theme with this year's commercials where there's a lot of robots?
Yes, and for the most part, they did not work, although the Alexa commercial I thought was pretty good. And you know what? Harrison Ford, who's usually reluctant to do anything outside of a movie, him being in the commercial was actually was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was good, and I love the jacuzzi part where we tried putting Alexa in the jacuzzis, and it had like the Las Vegas fountain thing
Like the
going around.
Bellagio.
Yeah, and it shoots the two girls out of the jacuzzi. That was pretty funny. I'll give that to them. There were some moments in the commercial where they're trying too hard, but it was pretty funny.
And
My
you
oth-
had a third as well?
yeah, third one here. It was the Eminem commercial. It was when I heard the voices, I knew who they belonged to. I knew it was going to be an Eminem commercial, but I was not expecting to see them all stuck in a chocolate bar. So I don't know why. My inner child just found that really funny. But what are your top three?
Okay, my top 3, I think I'm gonna go with the first I think I'm first off gonna go with Expensify. This was their first foray into Super Bowl commercials. If you didn't get a chance to catch it, I thought it was pretty slick. Just dealing with a lot of stuff as far as a typical rap commercial with 2 Chainz, and then all of a sudden Adam Scott comes out and tells him, "Well, you got to do an expense report on all this." And unfortunately, 2 Chainz crosses him up by saying, "You know what? Expensify takes care of that." I just thought that was pretty slick the way they had it set up, where it was just looking like your typical rap commercial, and it just was something a lot more. I thought that was a very creative and outside the box ad, and I liked it a lot, especially if it's their first time. It's making a good impression with audiences out there. Number 2, I think Hyundai, or as you would say, or as you said, Hyundai. You could be saying better than I am, so it could be Hyundai, whatever, whatever the way you want to say it. Their commercial, the elevator with Jason Bateman, I thought that was really good, where he's taking you to different levels of pain, which included shopping for a car. But the couple he was dropping off had the app, and that would make it a lot easier. So he took them in a different direction, and then had a good joke at the end for someone who was getting, let's say, a certain treatment that was painful. So I thought that was kind of amusing. I thought that to me was one of the best was the best commercial out there. And then the last was the Bud Light Game of Thrones. I think that was very close for me between that and the elevator. Both commercials were really good, and like we said, the Game of Thrones part of it really threw us off. We had no idea that was coming, and that just was something that was very surprising to both of us. Dilly dilly, man, dilly dilly.
Dilly dilly.
That's right. That's right. Dilly dilly, dilly dilly. But there were also some commercials that really disappointed. In fact, I think, like the game itself, a lot of the commercials failed to live up to any standards. There's usually bad commercials, but there usually wasn't as many as there were this year. I think there was a lot to choose from as far as bad commercials go. Your choices on on the worst of the worst when it came to big game commercials this past weekend.
Real quick, I do want to give a honorable mention to the Doritos commercial.
Oh yeah, yeah. Same here. Same here. Good commercial. Good
It was
commercial.
Chance the Rapper, but seeing Backstreet Boys come back together for that little thing, that was pretty cool.
Well, they're back. They're back doing hit records once again. So, and they're performing in Vegas. They've got a residency here. I mean, my gosh, they're just, nostalgia's back, and they've got a hit single on the charts. So,
Hey, the fact that they're
tell me why.
right, right. The fact that they're probably in their 50s now and they're still able to dance like that, though, that's impressive, man. That is super impressive. Anyways,
Don't go there with a person in their 50s.
my bottom three commercials. The Spike Seltzer commercial was pretty bad. I just didn't understand it. It was why mermaids, you know. That was just a really weird out of place commercial. Other one was the Michelob Ultra one. Again, the robot thing. Everyone was using robots, and the sad robot in the rain for a beer that isn't really that good was not really just my yeah, not a thing for me. But the other one I had was Stella Artois. It was a good commercial. It was well put together, but I didn't like how they made you, much like the Crocodile Dundee commercials, they made you think that there was going to be another Big Lebowski movie, and it's not. It's just a commercial. So that if it weren't for that, it would have been an okay commercial. But because they tease something that's not going to happen, it's going on my crap list.
Same thing with, well, it was also in that was a Sex in the City. People thought that might happen as well, but and it even had the most interesting man in the world at one time, pitching another alcoholic beverage. So that he, if you blinked, you missed it. So he was in there as well in that commercial. So it was kind of funny to see all three of them there, but unfortunately it didn't pan out very well for you. And I know it's not, I know pretty much looking through social media, it's not very well thought of. So Stella Artois is on my list of not so good commercials as well. The other two that I really didn't like, I'm sorry to say this because they host one of our websites, but Wix, yeah, just with the model there showing off her stuff. Unfortunately, that was just a very uninteresting and bland, and just not the message you really want to get across to people out there as far as trying to create a website. And just seemed like someone who was just, it just seemed like it was more of like a self-image, or look at me, look at my stuff, I'm so great, I'm so perfect, and just seemed like it was not going to be able to be relatable to anyone else. And I just think that's a commercial that you see every day, and you just ignore it every day, and they just decided to go ahead and spend $5 million and just put it on there. So unfortunately, Wix, sorry, gotta, you know what, put us on, we'll make the commercial a lot better, and we use Wix. So there you go. Second, and the worst commercial to me was TurboTax, the Robo Child. Oh my gosh, that was a bad, bad, bad commercial. Did you see that? Like you said, the theme was robots when it comes to commercials. They seem to be all over the place. For the most part, they were not good commercials, but this one was the worst of the worst.
And it's not just because it was poorly written, it was kind of terrifying. The it didn't make sense. Why would you make a robot, and then why would the robot want to be a TurboTax person? It just didn't fit. Nothing about the commercial. It was a lot of random things brought together, and somebody in a boardroom somewhere thought that that was a good idea, but they were probably on medicinal marijuana or something. I don't know why that happened.
It's the type of ad. It's the type of ad that puts PR companies out of business.
Right. So I'm wondering if that's going to do. I wonder how they tell how good commercials are, or if they were worth the money. I wonder,
Well, aren't you supposed? Don't they sneak peek them to people out there? A certain group of people, test groups, focal groups.
focal groups are dangerous these days because everybody loves different things. So you could get, a group of people going, "Oh, I like creepy robot things," and another group of people. I just don't think it was good for general audiences. Maybe it has a niche audience somewhere, but I don't think it's good for general audiences.
Maybe they showed it at a robotics convention.
Premiered at CES, man.
There you go. There you go, right there. But it was a bad commercial. I cannot say enough bad things about it. What's your list out there, everyone, when it comes to the best and the worst commercials during the big game? Let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And speaking of those social media outlets, send us please a list of your top 10 films. We'd like to do another big top 200 list out there for popculturecosmos.com site, even a top 100 list, but we'd like to see a we'd like to see your thoughts on it. Just don't want to interject we just don't want to interject what my list is and what Josh's list is. We want to see your list of we want to see your list of the top 10 movies that you think are the best of all time. Please send us that list as soon as you can by Valentine's Day. We're looking at that as our deadline. Send it to us at popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also, as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. So, my friend, it's been a great episode. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for listening out there. And thank you to all of our 1,000 subscribers on our Podbean channel. Any last thoughts on the way out?
No, I think we covered them all. But yeah, we'll have more pop culture stuff for you next time.
That's right. On our Friday show, the PCC Multiverse, we'll be covering the latest and greatest in pop culture. The Lego Movie 2 comes out, so we'll share our thoughts on that as it hits theaters this weekend, plus a lot more to come in the world of pop culture. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.